Hello everyone, welcome to you all. In the previous class, we have analyzed our syllabus. Now, as per our syllabus, we are going to start the first topic, that is mechanics, that is translational mechanics. Right? Under this, we are going to learn translational. We are going to start with translational kinematics. So now, first, what is translatory motion? Right? What is translatory motion? So see, translatory motion is actually the kind of motion in which a particle moves, or if a body is moving, you will see that all the parts of the body are moving in the same way. Right? So these extended bodies can also be treated as the particle, because all the parts of these body are moving in the same way, and all the parts will cover same distance, or they will cover the same distance in a given interval of time. Right? So these kind of motion, so it can be a one-dimensional motion, it can be a two-dimensional motion. As in projectile, we see that the body is moving like this, right? That all the parts of the body are moving in the same way. So that is your translatory motion. So and as far as the kinematics is concerned, so in kinematics we learn about those parameters which are used to describe the motion, right? Those parameters which are used to describe the motion. So now, to learn about those parameters, first we are going to consider a motion, right? We are going to consider a particle, and the particle is moving in a given path, right, in the space, right? And then accordingly we will see the explanation of all the parameters. So suppose to make space we need coordinates. So this is our coordinate system, right? You can consider it just like in your room, one particle is moving from one place to another place. So similarly, this is x, this is y, this is z, I can say, right? Or you can change, this is y, this is z, whatever, right? Now suppose a particle is moving in space from one point to another point, right? So I am taking a, like this red color line is showing the path of the particle, right? So suppose at any instant t the particle was at A. At any instant t is equal to 0. Suppose at any initially the particle was at A. Now at any instant t is equal to t, that is after time t, the particle reaches B, at point B, right? At t is equal to t, the particle is at point B, and at t is equal to 0, that is starting position is A, right? Now see, now initially the particle was at A, now the particle is at B, right? So the first parameter to describe this motion, we will use position and displacement vector. Position and displacement vector. Position and displacement vector. So many people have confusion in position and displacement vector. So that will be taken care of here only, right? See, what is the position vector? A vector which is showing the position of a particle at any instant, right? That means what? That means, like, see, earlier we used to give the coordinates, right? We used to give the coordinates if we have to tell the position of any particle. But now, as we know, as we have already learned vectors, so we will use vectors to tell about the position of a given point or particle, whatever you say. But now this position, when you say the coordinates, that means you are telling the coordinates according to some reference point, and that reference point is what? Origin. So here also we will use the reference point, we will take as origin, and now we will join this origin with that point of which with that point whose position we have to tell, right? So now vector OA is the position vector, right? So vector OA, I'll write, is the position vector of particle. Vector OA is the position vector of particle at time t is equal to 0. At t is equal to 0, right? So now generally the position vector is represented by vector r. So I am giving it name r1, right? So I can write this is equal to r1, vector r1, right? Now see, after certain interval of time, that is t is equal to t, its position changes, and now you have a new position vector, that is vector OB, right? So OB is what? OB is the position vector of particle at t is equal to t, right? Position vector at t is equal to t. I am giving it name r2, right? I am naming it r2. Now see, as you know that the particle within the time t, the particle has moved from A to B over this path shown by red color, right? So this is your final position, the B is your final position, A is your initial position, and as we know that displacement is what? Displacement is nothing but the shortest distance between the starting point and the ending point, right? The initial position and the final position. So this black color line will give you the magnitude of displacement, right? Now as we know that displacement is a vector quantity, so its direction is always from starting point to final point, right? So vector AB will be what? Vector AB will be your displacement vector. Displacement vector, that is generally written as S or vector S, or sometimes delta S also, right? So let's find out the relation between the position vector and the displacement vector. So if you can see, if you can observe in triangle OAB, right? So triangle OAB. In triangle OAB, if you will see applying the law of vector addition, right? Applying the triangular law of vector addition, right? So see, then we will have OA plus AB, vector OA plus vector AB is equal to vector OB. That is nothing but law of vector addition. So I can write vector OA plus vector AB is equal to vector OB. Right? So from here we can say vector AB is equal to vector OB minus vector OA, right? Vector OB minus vector OA. This is your origin O. Right? Vector OB minus vector OA. Now what is vector AB? Vector AB is nothing but displacement vector. Vector OB is what? The position vector of the particle. The position vector, final position vector you can say. And what is vector OA? The initial position vector of the particle within a given time t. Right? So within a given time t, the displacement will be equal to final position vector minus initial position vector, and that's why it is also represented as delta r. Right? It is also represented as delta r. So I think it's a clear what is the relation between S and R, that is displacement vector and the position vector. Now next in line is your obviously the scalar parameter, and that is distance, right? The scalar parameter, that is distance. Distance, right? What is distance? Distance is the actual length of the path. What is distance? Distance is actual length, or you can say this is the length of the path of particle, length of part of particle, right? So here you can see that if I am taking AB, that is red, the red color is the path of the particle. So from time t is equal to 0 to time t is equal to t, the red portion is this one, right? The red portion is this one. So obviously you can see here that if you want to find the length, if you want to find the distance traveled by it, then what you will do, you will take a thread and you will hold one end of the thread here, and then you just coincide the thread over this red portion up till B, and then you can always stretch it and calculate the length on your scale. So this length will be what? Your distance, right? And as we know, displacement is what? Displacement is always the minimum distance between initial and final position. So we can, from this statement, it is easy to understand that distance will always be either greater than or equal to displacement, right? So this, or you can say magnitude of displacement, because displacement is vector quantity. Okay? Yeah. So now next parameter which we are going to deal with is obviously velocity. Right? Velocity. Now you can ask about velocity. You can ask velocity of this particle in two ways. One is you can ask the velocity at this very instant, right? At any particular moment. And the second thing is you can ask the velocity between some given time interval. That is from t is equal to this to t is equal to 0 to t is equal to t. And you can ask me the velocity at that very instant also, that is at this instant when. So accordingly the velocity have two values. One is average value, that gives your average velocity, right? And another is instantaneous. That is, if you are asking at this very moment, what is the velocity? That comes under instantaneous, right? Instantaneous velocity. So, what is V average, right? Velocity. तो velocity हम लोग generally पढ़ चुके हैं, right? वो जो general हम लोग पढ़ते हैं, total displacement upon total time, that is actually average velocity, right? That is actually average velocity. That is total displacement upon total time. You can write it as delta S if you are writing it. So I can write it as delta S upon delta T, or delta R upon delta T, right? So you can write that what is velocity, what is what is average velocity? Average velocity is the total displacement upon time interval. So in this way you will get average velocity between any given time interval. Now what do you mean by instantaneous velocity? Instantaneous, that is, you are talking about at that very instant. At that very instant means what? This delta t, that is time t is equal to 0 to t is equal to t. That is, you have some finite time interval. Now if I am going to reduce it, right? This time interval I am reducing it to infinitesimally small value, right? That is, it is very small. That is, it is approaching to 0, right? If I am putting limits over delta t, time interval, that time interval is approaching to 0, right? So now if I am reducing it, see, time interval, so in that very time interval, suppose if you take the finite value as t is equal to 2 seconds, 3 seconds, this time interval is finite, then delta t tending to 0 means delta t is equal to 0.000001 second. So for this time interval you are going to analyze the motion. So that means what? That means at this very moment, right? So at this very moment, what will be your delta S by delta t? That is, what will be your rate of change of displacement, right? Or you can say rate of change of position. So when you are reducing the time interval to very smaller, if you are reducing it to very small value, right? So then what you get? Then you get the velocity at that very instant, right? And it is denoted by V only. Need not to write V instantaneous, only V will suffice, right? So see, when delta t will be very small, then the displacement covered by this, the displacement covered will also be very small, right? So we get instantaneous velocity as the rate of change of position, you can say dr by dt or ds by dt, anything you can use, ds by dt, right? So actually when you have to calculate instantaneous velocity, your approach will be, like calculate it through calculus, right? That's what we are getting here, right? Now next in line comes what? Okay, one thing I forgot to tell you, although it is obvious, that see, what is delta S or what is displacement? Displacement is nothing but final position minus initial position, right? That I forgot there to mention. See, so final position minus initial position, right? So if you are following a path, right? You are moving on a path. right? But finally you are coming to the same point, right? So I think it's clear, although it's a very complex path, you are going like this, right? So obviously at any moment you have covered some distance, at any moment. Once you started moving, you will always cover some distance, right? But if your final position and the initial position is same, right? If your final position and the initial position is same, so suppose this is your origin, right? So this will be your R1 and this will also be your R2, right? So again R2 minus R1 will be what? 0, right? So that's why when you are covering when you are moving on a path and coming back to the same position, right, same point, and in that case the displacement will be 0, right? So now if you are covering such a path in a given time interval t, suppose, right, and you are asked what will be your average velocity. So average velocity is equal to what? Total displacement upon total time. So if total displacement is 0, then average velocity will also be 0, right? Okay. So I think we have discussed velocity. Now we have in line with speed. Right? As we all know, speed is a scalar quantity, right? So speed again have two values. One is average, right, and one is instantaneous. Right? You may think about you may think about what value your speedometer of your bike gives. So that is not average, that is your instantaneous. So speed also have instantaneous values, right? So see, now we whatever we have learned about speed is given by v, right, without any arrow on the above v, because speed is scalar. So speed is equal to what? Total distance, right? Total distance traveled upon time interval, right? So this value is actually what? This value is your. This value is. This value is, you will get what? Average value, right? Okay. But again, so this is, you can say this is if the length of path AB, so I can write this arc. If I am taking it as arc, so I will write the length of this arc, right, upon delta t. I can write it like this. So this bar is showing that it is not this displacement, but it is this arc length. That is what this arc is showing above the AB I have drawn. So again, if I am going to reduce this delta t, to such that this delta t is tending to 0, right? So again, suppose I'm reducing it to, why I'm reducing it to this? Because I want to know that at very instant t what will be the speed. So I am reducing the delta t. So suppose I am getting this much of portion of the path, right? So in this much of the portion of the path, what will be your distance? This. So if I want to magnify it, right? So this will be, suppose your. So if delta t is tending to 0, right? So delta t is very small. Can we say that distance? So this will be initial position and this will be final position. Now you cannot differentiate between distance and displacement. So when delta t tend to 0, right? So distance will become equal to displacement, magnitude of displacement, right? So when delta t tends to 0, then distance will become magnitude of displacement, right? So that is magnitude of displacement. So ds, right? I can simply write it as ds, right? Because when delta t is very small, so that is time interval dt, right? We have displacement as ds, right? So magnitude of ds will be equal to distance, right? We have seen here. So now I can write distance as ds, right? And obviously when delta t tends to 0 at that, and then what you get is your instantaneous speed, right? And that is equal to ds by dt, where ds is what? ds is distance, which is equal to displacement, or you can say that instantaneous displacement. So when we talk about instantaneous values, then we can say that speed is equal to, or you write it as v instantaneous is equal to magnitude of instantaneous velocity. Instantaneous speed is equal to the magnitude of instantaneous velocity, but same is not true in the case of average values. You cannot say average speed is equal to the magnitude of average velocity. Why? Because see, the total distance is different from total displacement. But when we talk about instantaneous values, then distance and displacement becomes equal. That is, distance and magnitude of displacement becomes equal, and then we can say the instantaneous value or instantaneous speed is equal to the magnitude of instantaneous velocity, right? So next in line is next parameter which we use to describe a motion is obviously acceleration, right? So acceleration again have two values. Right? Acceleration is nothing but the rate of change of speed. So acceleration sometimes, as we have already learned in lower classes, that acceleration is final velocity minus initial velocity upon time interval. So that is the value I get from this formula is actually what? Average value. Okay. So it will also have average and instantaneous values. So whenever we are talking about instantaneous values, that means we are reducing delta t to 0, and that becomes dt, and then that's why for instantaneous value we follow calculus approach, right? So average acceleration अगर मैं बात करूं, so I'll write average acceleration is equal to final velocity minus initial velocity, or I can write it as delta v upon delta t, where delta t is the time interval in which you are being asked average acceleration. But when you reduce delta t tending to 0, then if you apply this limit over delta v by delta t, so in that case, obviously this will become equal to dv by dt, because then the changes will be very small in velocity, and that is known as instantaneous acceleration. So instantaneous acceleration is nothing but rate of change of velocity, right? Now as we know, this velocity, whenever I am writing only v, that means what? Now see, here it means what? That is I think it's clear that this is what? This is the change in velocity at that very instant, right? The change in velocity at that very instant. So at that very instant we also write v is equal to dr by dt, right? Or ds by dt, or ds by dt. We also write v is equal to dr by dt or ds by dt, right? dr by dt or ds by dt, So put this value here, you will get A is equal to what? A is equal to d square r by dt. Putting this value here, we will get A is equal to d square r by dt, right? Or d square s by dt. So this is what the relation between the kinematics parameters, right? Okay. This is what the relation between So, the question is, the position of the particle moving along the x-axis is given by the position of the particle moving along x-axis is given by x is equal to 5t square minus 4t plus 20 meter. X is equal to 5t square plus 4t minus 20 meter. Where t is in second. Where t is in seconds. So we have to find, first is find average velocity between 1 second and 2 seconds. Average velocity between 1 second and 2 seconds. So we have less space, so we will write the first part, we will solve it, then we will write the second part, then we will solve it. So there are 4 parts, right, of this question. So find the average velocity between 1 second and 2 seconds. So we can think about, we are given that the position of the particle which is moving along x-axis, right? So think about the number line, right? So suppose this is your origin, so we will take origin. Now we have what we have learned in our theory part, we have taken it general. I mean, we have taken it like it is moving in space, in 3-dimensional space. But here it's easy because we are being given that it is moving along the x direction. That's it. Nothing different you will find here. So if it is moving along x direction and it is being given that so now what is x? X will be nothing. X is the value of x at any instant. The value of x at any instant is nothing but what? The value of x at any instant is nothing but giving you the position, right? Giving you is nothing but position. So you can write it as r, right? You can take it as your position vector, right? So find the average velocity between 1 second and 2 seconds. That's it, right? you don't need to worry about, although it is asking velocity, but now you don't need to worry about it, because you know that it is going in the forward direction. See, as time will increase, the x position will always increase, it will never come back, right? So so what does it mean? What does it mean? It means so it is also you can say, you can see that at t is equal to 0 second, the position of the particle is minus 20 meter, right? So it is starting. So you can say the starting position is x naught, which is minus 20 meter, right? This is your starting position, x naught, which is minus 20 meter, and now with time it will always, as the t will increase, x will increase. So it is always going to move in this direction, right? It is always going to move in this direction, right? So now we don't have to worry that as the particle is always moving in the x direction, so we don't have to worry about what the direction of the velocity vector, right? So it's asking average velocity, so you have to tell the value. So find the average velocity between 1 second and 2 seconds, right? Yeah. So average velocity between 1 second and 2 seconds is simply, you know that A average is what? V average is what? V average, I am talking about the magnitude, right? Magnitude of average velocity. So V average is given as delta S upon delta T, right? Delta S upon delta T, or you can write delta R upon delta T, as we have taken position vector R here, right? So delta R upon delta T, right? So delta R is actually what? Delta R is R at position at time t is equal to 2 seconds, right? That is R2, right? Delta R is what? Final position minus initial position, right? We can put the bar because we are talking about only magnitude, right? So R at t is equal to 2 seconds minus position at t is equal to 1 second, right? Position at t is equal to 1 second, and put the bar because we are talking about magnitude only, right? Whole upon what is the time taken? The time taken is t2 minus t1, that is 2 minus 1. So what is R? Instead of R you can write x, right? So position is, you can write x. So I'm putting here x at t is equal to 2 seconds, right? Or you can say, okay, magnitude of R at t is equal to 2 seconds and magnitude of R at t is equal to 1 second. Magnitude of R at t is equal to 2 seconds minus magnitude of R at t is equal to 1 second. It is magnitude of R is same as the position, the coordinates of x, right? So x at t is equal to 2 seconds minus x at t is equal to 1 second upon 2 minus 1, that is 1. So x at t is equal to 2 seconds. Put the values, put t is equal to 2 seconds in this equation, you will find 4 5 is 20 and 4 2 is 8. So 20 plus 8, that is 28 minus 20, that is 8. So x at t is equal to 2 seconds is what? X at t is equal to 2 seconds is 8. Right? And minus x at t is equal to 1 second. T is equal to 1 second. Put 1. That is 5 plus 4. That is 9. 9 minus 20. That will be minus 11. So minus 11 upon 1. That is 10. So 8 minus 1, that will add up. That will add up and give you 19 meter. Sorry, 19 meter per second. So this is your answer. 19 meter. 19 meter per second. Right? Per second. 19 meter per second. So this is what your one second. So 90 meter. Now next part is find velocity. First check it whether it is correct or not. See, the particle started from here. This was its starting position and it started moving in this direction. Right. So obviously at t is equal to 1 second it was somewhere here, and at t is equal to 2 seconds it was somewhere. T is equal to 1 second, it was somewhere minus 12 p, and t is equal to 2 seconds, you can say it was somewhere here. So this is what within a given time interval, this is your distance. So it is you just follow the method, like you don't have to think about it whether the particle will be here at what time and here at what time, right? The negative side hoga, positive side hoga. That will already come here. If you follow the approach, that what do you mean by delta? Delta R means the final position minus initial position, right? So as the body was moving along a straight line, so we in one direction only, right? So we will run. We have to deal with only the magnitude, right? We are not required to tell the direction here, right? And finally you put the values and get the answer, right? So that was easy. Now in the next part it is asking find velocity as the function of time and its value at t is equal to 3 seconds. So in the next part it is asking, second part, find velocity as the function of time at its value at 3 seconds. See, agar the question would have omitted this part, that velocity as a function of time, right, and only have given you that find the value of the find the velocity at 3 seconds, right? Find the velocity at time t is equal to 3 seconds, right? Then also you will have to find out velocity as a function of time. Why? Because to find the velocity at 3 seconds, that means what it is asking about instantaneous velocity, right? And to talk, when we talk about instantaneous velocity, what we follow that v is equal to ds or dr by dt. Here dr by dt will be equal to what? Nothing but dx by dt, right? So for the time being I am not concerned about the arrow sign because we are dealing in one dimension, right? So it is moving in one direction only. So that is not a concern. So instantaneous velocity is if the particle is moving in positive x direction, so it will always remain in the positive x direction. Even the average velocity will always remain in the positive x direction, right? Because it is actually continuing in one direction only, right? So if you were asked that you have to find out instantaneous velocity, you will go for differentiation of the position vector, right? Differentiation of the position vector, and that will give you nothing but what? The velocity as a function of time, right? So V will be what? V will be equal to dx by dt, that is d by dt of 5t square plus 4t minus 20, right? Plus 4t minus 20, and that will be equal to 10t plus 4, and that will be 0. So this is 10t plus 4. Okay. So V is equal to 10t plus 4. Okay. So you have velocity as a function of time, and now at any moment, if you will be asked to give the velocity at that instant, so at any instant you can be asked, you put that value here and you will get the answer, right? So for example, in this case it is asking for 3 seconds. So at t is equal to 3, put t is equal to 3 seconds, you will get 10 3s are 30, and 30 plus 4 34. So V will be what? 30. V will be 34 meter per second. So this is your instantaneous velocity, right? Next is find the acceleration at t is equal to 2 seconds, right? Next you have to find the acceleration at t is equal to 2 seconds. So again, I think it's very clear. Third portion is find acceleration at t is equal to 3 what? T is equal to 2 seconds. T is equal to 2 seconds. You have to find the acceleration. So again, I think it's very clear. It is asking you instantaneous acceleration, that at this instant. अगर एवरेज की बात करता तो you would have been given between this time to this time. It will ask you like this acceleration between this time to this time. But it is asking acceleration at t is equal to 2 seconds. So I think you will have to follow again the same dv by dt. Now this time you will do differentiate the velocity the velocity of this particle, right, with respect to time. So I think we have v is equal to 10t plus 4. We had v is equal to we have find that v is equal to 10t plus 4. So now you will disintegrate this. So you will get what? 10 plus 0, that is 10. So acceleration is constant. Acceleration is constant. So here one thing you can see then that when displacement is the parabolic function of time, square, right? So square is a parabolic function. So when displacement is the parabolic function of time, then acceleration will be constant, right? So acceleration is 10 meter per second square, right? And when it is parabolic function of time, then velocity will vary linearly, and when velocity varies linearly, that means our acceleration is constant. This thing you can. From this numerical we have learned this theory, right? So now it is Now see, now it is asking a very this is good question. Next part 4, right? So in part 4, it is asking the time at which the particle will be at rest, right? The time at which the particle will be at rest, right? The time at which the particle will be at rest. Now think about it. Particle rest पे कब हो? Yes. Obviously, particle अगर rest पे है, that means what? Velocity is 0. Right? Put the velocity 0. Put the velocity 0. So what was your velocity? Velocity as a function of time. Velocity as a function of time was 10t plus 4. You have to find what at what time the it will be at rest. So 10t plus 4 will be 0. So that means what? T is equal. That means what? T is equal to minus 4 by 10. That is minus 0.4 seconds. Right? Answer time का आंसर माइनस में आ रहा है, right? Which is not possible. So once this particle has started, it will never be at rest, right? So it will never be at rest. Why? Because time is equal to minus time in negative is not possible. So it will never be at rest. Yeah. Now think about the same question. If there would have been negative sign here. अगर यहाँ पर negative sign होता, तो क्या होता? So now velocity will be what? Now velocity would have been 5 to the 10t, that is dh by dt minus 4, and this will be 0. So now you will have v is equal to 10t minus 4. And now for the same question, if you put it is velocity is equal to 0, then 10t minus 4 will be 0. If you put it equal to 0, 10t minus 4 will be 0. Now t will be 4 by 10, that is 0.4 seconds. So if the equation would have been of this type, then the particle would have come at rest at 0.4 seconds. But for our question, it is not possible. Right? Okay. So one more question. A particle moving on a circular path. Particle moving on a circular path of radius r. Full stop. It covers the distance 2 pi r in time t. It covers the distance 2 pi r in time t. It covers the distance 2 pi r in time t, what will be the magnitude of average velocity in time t, in time interval, you can say t, in time interval t, 0 to t. So a particle moving in a circular path of radius r covers the distance 2 pi r in time t. What will be the magnitude of average velocity in time interval t? You can think for 20 to 30 seconds and you can think about the answer. What will be answer? You can calculate it. See, those who have given the answer that 2 pi r by t are wrong, and you guys are the victim of overexcitation, right? So reduce it, and if you have given the answer 0, then it is correct, right? See, what it is saying? It is saying that a particle moving on a circular path of radius r. Okay, a particle moving on a circular path of radius r, right? This is radius r. So suppose it starts from this point A and it covers a distance. It covers the distance 2 pi r. It covers the distance 2 pi r, right? तो 2 पाई आर डिस्टेंस कवर करने में इसको पूरा एक सर्कल लग जाएगा, राइट? डिस्टेंस क्या होता है? डिस्टेंस होता है द लेंथ ऑफ द पाथ कवर्ड बाय इट. तो टाइम t, it has taken time t to cover this whole circumference, one circumference, that is 2 pi r. ठीक है? तो what will be the magnitude of average velocity? Magnitude of average velocity, right, in time t. So average velocity in time t will be what? r2 minus r1, right, upon t, right? So that is delta r upon t. So as the initial and the final position are same, so delta r will be 0. So average velocity will be 0, right? So you can, because it is asking magnitude, then you put the bar there. Okay. That's it. So now we are going to see motion in one dimension, right? We are entering into rectilinear motion. Rectilinear motion is nothing but motion in one dimension. When we are talking about one dimensional motion, that is rectilinear motion. So motion in one dimension, right? Or we can call it rectilinear motion. Rectilinear motion. What is rectilinear motion? The motion which is being executed along a straight line, right? Along a straight line. Not necessary that the body is moving in one direction. Not necessary that the body is moving in one direction only. It can return also, but it will do so along that straight line only. That is called a rectilinear motion. So we can divide now see after learning all the parameters, now we have to learn about the type of motion, right? So under this we can divide the type of motion. Right? The type of motion we can divide according to the, based upon the variation in the parameters, we can divide it into three types, basically three types. One is what? One is motion, motion with constant velocity, right? Motion with constant velocity, right? If a particle is moving with constant velocity, right, then second part is what? Second part is obviously motion with not constant velocity, right? Or you can say variable velocity. So when now see, when velocity varies, right? When velocity varies, right? So that means there is acceleration. When velocity is constant, acceleration is zero, right? When velocity is constant, acceleration is zero. But when there is variable velocity, that means there is acceleration. So that means it is accelerated motion, right? Accelerated motion. But now this accelerated motion can be of two types, right? So that is, one is either constant acceleration, either acceleration is constant or acceleration itself varies, so variable acceleration, right? So now these kind of motion are governed by, these kind of motions are governed by which equation? The equation which will be applied to these kind of motion, the equation applied, or the for these kind of motion, the valid equation will be so you can use to analyze these kind of motion from an equation that V is equal to S upon T, right? Simply you can write it like this, right? That is, so now see, when the velocity is constant, then obviously the obviously it is moving along a straight line, right? So you can say that simply speed is equal to distance upon time and velocity is equal to displacement upon time, total displacement upon time. That this equation is valid for these kind of motion when you find that velocity is constant. So accordingly, speed is equal to distance upon time. That these two equations will govern, or will govern these kind of motion, the motion with constant velocity, right? But when it comes to accelerated motion, right? So we have two kinds of motion, constant acceleration and variable acceleration. Now constant acceleration, when we have constant acceleration, so which equations are used for analysis of these kind of motion? The three equations of kinematics, right, which we are going to prove, right? So these three equations, we call it the kinematic equations of motion, right? We call it kinematic equations of motion, right? So these three equations will govern which law, will govern which kind of motion? The motion which is of constant acceleration time, right? Which is of constant acceleration time. Now, as we are working with one-dimensional motion, so direction will not be very much important in one-dimensional motion. We can treat with negative and positive sign as we do, right? But in two-dimensional motion, direction becomes more important, right? So okay, so but we will see it in vector form only, right? And later on we will resolve the vector form, right? Into to solve it with the by making it a scalar quantity, right? But it's okay. That we'll see later. Yeah. So these three kinematics equations of motion will govern this kind of motion. V is equal to s by t. That will govern the motion with constant velocity. And for variable acceleration, what all equations are left? Nothing is left. Here, whenever you will get these kind of questions, the questions based upon this will be taken care by your calculus. That is, A is equal to dV by dt and V is equal to ds by dt. So these two equations you will use to deal with the questions based upon variable acceleration. Then there they will give you acceleration as the function of time, and then they will ask you anything. Either any one of the three parameters they should give you in, like we have just seen, x was given as the function of time, right? So any one parameter will be given to you, and then only you can solve the questions based upon variable acceleration. So now let's get into the proof of kinematics equations of motion, right? And there we will see why it is used for only constant acceleration time type of motion, right? We are going to see proof of three kinematics equations of motion. So see, we will use only two equations, two differential equations, right? One is A is equal to dV by dt, right? Another is V is equal to ds upon dt. Right? So these two equations, as we are working on 1D motion, we are for the time being omitting the arrow, because we are taking it as the 1D motion in only one direction, right? So suppose the particle was at A, initially I am taking it as origin, right, starting point, and now it is moving in this direction along this straight line, and at time t is equal to 0 it was here, and at time t is equal to t it is here, right? So it is right now moving in the same direction, so we will derive the equations based upon we can derive, so that we can derive the equation without using any vector form, right? And later on, whatever will be the results, we will put the will put the arrow on the vectors quantity. So that means it will once we put the arrow, तो उसमें already it will govern all other it will carry it will take care of the direction also, right? So that's not any issue. We have to see the proof का सिर्फ एक ही objective है, that we have to see why it is used for constant acceleration. Kinematics equations of motion, why these are used for only constant acceleration, constant accelerated motion, right? So see, so initially suppose the particle was having the velocity u in this direction, at time t is equal to t it is having v in the same direction, right? And the distance covered, or the displacement, here the distance displacement will remain same, that is equal to s, right? So displacement is S. So we will use these two equations for. So first equation we have to prove. So we will start with this equation. A is equal to dV by dt. See, first equation, actually you know V is equal to U plus AT. So you have to find the relation between A, T and V. So obviously out of these two you will use this one, right? So A is equal to dV by dt, right? Now you can put it dV is equal to A dt, right? Now see, we will integrate this over the period 0 to t. We will integrate both sides over the period 0 to t, right? We will integrate this differential equation over the period t is equal to 0 to t is equal to t. So t is equal to 0 to t is equal to t. What at t is equal to 0, the velocity, initial velocity was u. At t is equal to t, the final velocity is v. So after integration dv, it will be what? V, it is going u to v is equal to now see, now this side, if acceleration is varying, if acceleration is variable, so now in the question they will give you acceleration as the function of time, then you will put it here, right? You will put that equation here, and then accordingly you will calculate whatever they are demanding. But now if the acceleration is constant, right? If the acceleration is constant, right? So we can take acceleration A out of the integration, and we can write this is as u to v dv, right, is equal to u to v dv is equal to A, because A is constant, so it is taken out of the integration sign, 0 to t dt. Now nothing is left. Once you open it, so you will get what? Integration of dv will be v, u to v is equal to A, and this will be t, 0 to t. So this will you will get v minus u is equal to A. That is your first equation of motion. Now, the second equation of motion, right? The second equation of motion is actually you know that it is S is equal to ut plus half AT square, right? S is equal to ut plus half AT square, right? So we have V is equal to ds upon dt. We will use this equation here, right? So now see, we can write ds is equal to what? ds is equal to v dt. Put the value of v from here, that is v is equal to u plus at, right? You will bring u in this side, so it will become u plus at, right? So ds is equal to u plus at into dt. Now this equation again you will integrate from 0 to t over the time period 0 to t. So suppose if I take a starting position as x naught, right? At time t is equal to 0, it was x is equal to x naught, and at time t is equal to t, it is x is equal to x, right? if I am taking the coordinates x-axis as my the path of travel, and my starting position is x is equal to x naught, and final position is x is equal to x. So actually we know that ds is what? The ds is the change in the position vector, right? So right now I'm not taking the vector sign here. So this is x naught. I have explained you why I am not taking, right? So this is x naught to x. It is going from x naught to x, right? So after this integration, what you will get? You will get so your ds will be what? Ds actually now ds will be the small change on this path, a small distance on this path. So ds is actually nothing. You can say ds is nothing but dx, right? So I am putting here ds, so it should not confuse you. So what will be the integration of ds? That will be s, right? And this will be x naught to x, right? And that will be u dt 0 to t plus at dt 0 to t, and finally you will get x minus x naught is equal to what? Ut plus half at square, right? X minus x naught is equal to what? Ut plus half at square. Now see, x minus x naught is what? Nothing but displacement, right? Nothing but displacement. So that's why this is s is equal to ut plus half at square, we can write, right? Now finally the third equation. In the third equation, now third equation, so you should see here that here again we have taken a as I think I just jumped one step here. So yeah. So to integrate this side, see, u is constant because u is the initial velocity, so u will be taken out. So this will be 0 to t dt, right? Plus a should be taken out. If a is constant, then only you will take a outside. So again you will see that here we are assuming in the proof of second equation, again we are assuming that acceleration is constant. In the proof of first equation we have seen acceleration is constant. Here again we are saying that we are assuming that it is constant. So now it will become t square by 2. This integration will be t, right? So upper limit minus lower limit, that will be ut plus a into t square by 2, right? So t square by 2, that is half a t square. Okay. And now in the third equation I am in the third equation, third equation is what? V square is equal to u square plus 2as, right? This is what your equation is. V square is equal to u square plus 2as, right? So so we will take this equation here. A is equal to dv by dt, right? dv by dt. we have to do some of the manipulation here. We can write it as dv by ds into ds upon dt, right? dv by ds into ds upon dt. Right? So we can write here. Now what is ds upon dt? ds upon dt is nothing but what? V, right? ds upon dt is nothing but v. So we can write a is equal to v into dv by ds. V into dv by ds, right? So now you can write it as a ds is equal to v dv. Now I am again going to integrate it over the period 0 to t. So over the period 0 to t, velocity is changing from u to v, right? So accordingly the lower limit and the upper limit will be these u and v. And in ADS, what displacement is going to be from, you can say, x to x naught. But what about A? What about A? Is a constant. Now this equation cannot be solved until and unless either A is given as a function of x. Either A is given as a function of x, that then only you can integrate this ADS, or A is constant so that you can take it out, right? So either A is given or anyhow A can be converted as into the function of x, then only. So now see, now what can you write here? You can write here as if A is constant. So again we are assuming A is constant. So if A is constant, so A will come out of the integration, right? And you will put limits x naught to x, right? So this will be what? V square by 2 and u to v, right? That is, this is u. This is u. So u to v. So now finally your answer will be v square minus u square upon 2 is equal to v square minus u square upon 2 is equal to a into x of minus x naught. Right? And that will be equal to, that will be actually v square v square minus q square is equal to 2ax minus x naught. Now x minus x naught is nothing but the displacement s. So you can write v square minus u square is equal to 2as. V square minus u square is equal to 2as. So that's why these three kinematics, these three equations of motion are generally used for your constant acceleration motion. That's what we were about to see, right? So today we are keeping it up to this, right? And tomorrow we will start from here only. We will do some of the questions based upon whatever we have read till now, and then we will start. And the next we will start with what? We will start first we will see the graphs, and then we will see some of the questions based upon the graph, and if the time permits, then we will also see some of the we will see the motion in 2 dimension. We will start the motion in 2 dimension, right? So that's it for today. Thank you very much.